Kathy, thank you so much for being here today to share about your experience working with me through a coaching session and then also through the release and restore class that I offer. So, thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, thank you. I thank you for inviting me.
So, I want to hear a little bit more about your experience with your coaching session because I know it was different for you than
Mhm.
anything you've experienced before. And I want other women to kind of get a sneak peek into what is it really like to be coached by me and how it helps you. So just tell me, where were you at when we started the coaching session? What was going on
Well,
for you?
yeah, well, I was struggling with some things in my personal life, and I was struggling taking some steps forward. And you
Mhm.
were really good at identifying that, and identified that I had a lot of fear going on, and through the coaching, which I didn't anticipate was going to happen, was that you were so easy to talk to, and you're so welcoming and comforting in the sense that you really did ask for permission to go to certain places, which made me really at ease. And I do a lot of coaching, but this is a different kind of coaching. And you notice that I'm more in the brain kind of coaching, and this was more about the body. So I had to really make a shift into that part. And you were very, very, very good at segueing over there and like helping me make that connection and allowing me to get into a place that felt very vulnerable actually for me. And you made it feel really safe. It was awesome. Yeah, but you were very on point in recognizing, knowing that what you have was going to help me in a certain way, and where I didn't. Right, I wasn't really aware of um, really what your skills are and how much they could help me. And then that invitation to go to those places was really, yeah, it was really impactful.
Yeah, beautiful. And how is it different from anything you've experienced before? How is this experience that you had with me different?
Um, so I do in my coaching, I do some stuff related to how your emotions are in your body, and yours was, I think, instead of it being really very cerebral and in my brain, it's really about getting in tune with where you are in your body. And you go about it at a pace that just seem to allow all the steps, to like all the just little movements that you have to make moving forward, just to through the coaching session, really easy and seamless and opening and welcoming. And I didn't feel like there was any rush or some urgency or judgment or anything in there. It was going to go where it was going to go, and you knew exactly where to direct it. It was awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And what was interesting for you? Like, what surprised you in it? Because I know that I guided you to some past stuff
Yeah.
that you and made the connection for you that you were kind of like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you tell me
So
about
you had asked some questions. So I have done some things about like paying attention to where your emotions are in your body and really like getting into describe them. But you took it to another level that I had never gone to before, and asked me some questions about the emotions that I was experiencing, that then took me to another level to understand them even more. I think most of the time when I have worked on that part of, your emotions and how they show up in your body and trying to process them and let them go, I really feel like I've always done it on a surface level. Honestly, it's like, okay, there it is, and let's let it go. And yeah, I paid attention to it. But you dug in and asked deeper questions about what is it trying to tell you and where does it come from? And let's go to a different place. And in the process of doing that, I think you really, for me, it's like you really got to the core of why I was constantly and repeatedly experiencing this. In this case, it was fear.
Yeah.
And you, instead of just me letting it go and letting the fear go and it coming back, it was more about understanding why it was there. And that
Yeah.
was a much deeper level than I coach on. And it was so impactful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And just that somatic self connection, somatic meaning just body, like connecting to the body, to the wisdom of what the body is actually holding. And we went to the particular part of your body that was holding the tension and the stress, which led us to the fear, which
Mhm.
then led us to a younger version of you. Do you remember how old that version of you is?
I think that was five. I
Five.
think it was
Yeah,
five. Yeah.
I think it was five.
Uh-huh.
And just recognizing that you have been holding this fear in your body and it's
Mhm.
been a part of your operating system since you were five.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this
That was
5-year-old
amazing. Yeah, you helped me create that picture and see that. And I'm going to be, honest. I have from another coaching program that I was with a woman who would hypnotize you and to go into those places. And I never. She's like, we're going to try and find something. When you were younger, I could never come up with anything. I think it was the way
Mm,
about it was the avenue about going about it, like the that she took. And I mean, she was fantastic. And but it really was, I was like, I don't know, I can't think of anything. But the way you did it, it was more about, I don't know, you just eased into that, where then all of a sudden this very vivid memory came up to me where I didn't have access to that before, which made total sense on why I was having that fear. And
yeah.
so yes, it was your avenue that you go about it, and the angle that you go about it has been had way more value, I think, and it's like impact, I guess I should say, than what I've done before, what I've actually tried on my own. So it was very good. Yeah.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is that once we have that knowing and that understanding of like from the body level, not from the mind level, because it sounds like, just trying to cognitively come up with a thought or an idea is really hard to do because there's so many things going on up here in the brain. But when we go to the part of the body that's holding it and we simply connect with it, it reveals to us where to go, how to go about things. And then when we connect with that part of us, it actually tells us what we need in the future and how to move through it in a way that feels safe.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. I mean, it was coming at it from a totally different angle than I've ever done before, but I felt like it just opened it up and made so much sense. And yeah, and you're very skilled at walking through that process, and very, I don't even want to use the word patient, because you're a patient person too, but you're really understanding really what the person is going through. So there's a lot of compassion going through those steps. There's no rush, there's no urgency. Like wherever you are in the process is exactly where you're supposed to be, and wherever it leads you is exactly where it's going to lead you. And you're
Mm.
masterful at guiding through that. It was really
Aw,
good. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
curious. Can you tell us a little bit about what the transformation has been since this big knowing has come forth, this aha moment through this coaching session, this breakthrough of connecting with this 5-year-old version of you
Mhm.
that really needed seen and heard and
Mhm.
validated and affirmed and guided with you to be able to move forward? How has this changed things for you?
So when the emotion comes up, I have way more compassion for the emotion that I have when the fear comes up. I recognize it. I know exactly how to speak to it. I
Mm,
don't fight it anymore. I don't shame myself when I have fear. I don't try and muscle my way through it as much. I know exactly how to talk to that, 5-year-old girl who has the fear and why she has the fear and the things to say. And we work through some of those together.
yeah.
And so it's there's so much less resistance. Like I'm
Mm.
not afraid of the fear, right, coming up. It's like it's going to come up, but I know what it's saying, and I just know how to let it, talk to it, like I said, and ease through it. And so that part has been so much lighter. I felt so much lighter after we talked. It was amazing.
That's awesome and beautiful.
Yeah.
And just to hear the empowerment inside of you, like, I'm not afraid of that emotion anymore. I don't have to suppress it
Yeah.
anymore or
Yes.
ignore it or bypass it or dismiss it. I
Yes.
actually can be present with it in a new way that allows me to soften and ease and be able to actually move forward through it.
Mm. And actually, you just saying that, I know how I have compassion for the fear when it shows up.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, I know why you're like, there's a part of me that's um compassionate about it, compassionate about that 5-year-old girl and why she has that fear, versus judging myself that I should be stronger or better, or like there's something wrong with me. And every time I recognize it and take that moment, I feel like I soften that little part of me that was creating that fear, because I go there and take that as an opportunity to remind that 5-year-old exactly what she needs to hear, so that fear dissipates.
Yeah, I love it. And what we're talking about is it's called somatic parts work. And somatic just meaning body, but connecting with these different parts of us that really hold emotion. And most of us, all of us really, have these parts of us from the past that are still stuck in a heavier emotion that we don't know how to move through. And what I love about this work is that it's really about teaching and learning skills.
Mhm.
It's like if you don't have the skill to move through emotions and those
Mhm.
heavier emotions, most of us weren't taught that when we were younger. If we didn't have parents who were able to engage in those emotions, and that they weren't, maybe even most generations prior were not even taught how to do it for themselves, let alone help their children.
Right.
And so what's awesome about this new knowledge and this new information is that it really makes healing so much simpler. It made it so much easier for you to be like, "Oh, like, I can't just think my way to being compassionate. I
Mhm.
can't force myself to be compassionate, but until I connect with the part of me that actually needs the compassion and I can see it and feel it on a
Mhm.
body level, then it becomes easier for me to be softer and gentler towards myself."
Yeah. Yeah,
For
for sure. And I think I spent most of my life being very disconnected from the emotions that were inside my body. So I'm really resistant to go there. It was just kind of the environment that I grew up in. I could think my way through a lot of things. And so that part was, I thought I could think my way through a lot of things, right? And so that part was like very disconnected. And and I think in the past I probably would have said okay, I can think my way through this, right? And it's the movement through what you do in that somatic release and your coaching sessions just fast tracks a lot of healing that you could spend days and years and months working on and trying to think your way through it. But it really just takes that one moment. I felt instant relief, and that's just that one coaching session. Now, does my fear come back? Yeah, for sure. Do I know what it is? For sure. But there was just so much more clarity, and I really that fear was lifted off of me in a way that now I'm able to move forward in the things that I was staying stuck. And yeah, it was really just a huge moment for me.
Yeah, what a beautiful transformation that even just doing one session
Yes.
was able to
Yeah.
help you truly break through. And when I heard you talking and I knew it, and I was like, I feel like you could use coaching. Like, can I coach you?
Yeah.
Because I know how to help you get from here to here. I
Yeah.
can see it, I feel it in you.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, yeah, yeah, okay, I'm open to that.
Yeah.
And for you, because you live so much of the time up here,
Mhm.
and you are a very brilliant mindset coach. Like what you do with coaching other people in
Mhm.
golf and all this stuff, yeah, you're very much a very strong mindset coach, which is needed.
Mhm.
And it's like, but there's this other side that we are disconnected from. And when the body and the mind can connect, and on a healing level, on a really intimate level of going to those vulnerable places, we can have our own personal breakthroughs to move through whatever's keeping us stuck.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once you learn how to do it with one part of you, you can do that with the other parts of you that show up with the emotions in a big way too.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
learned there was just such an awareness that now I'm going to pay more attention to the body component and where my emotions are and give it more, not only space, but respect. I think that I had
Mhm.
not given it before. I hadn't given it its due respect. And now I 100% do. Yeah,
Yeah, you had
that shifted a
one
ton.
experience that showed you,
Uh-huh.
"Holy cow, your body is really holding a lot of wisdom here, and you can slow down and listen to it, and it's
Yeah,
gonna actually show you and lead you to the places you really want to be,
exactly.
how you want to live, what
Yeah.
you want to open up to." It's the path. It's
Yes.
the path
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I know that you attended a release and restore class of mine and
Mhm.
had a pretty cool experience, during it, but then even after it. So I'd love to hear just for a moment about what that was like for you. Tell me about the release and restore class itself. What?
Okay, yeah, and I invited one of my clients to come to it because she was having, I know she was challenging. And after having your coaching session, I said to her, I sent her your link. And so she was there. She's a college kid and
Awesome.
she stayed the whole time. I saw her name on there. I have to connect with her and just see kind of what she experienced with that. But so, um, Yeah, so I wanted to go through this experience, and I was very open-minded about it. I said, "All
Mhm.
right, Jill, I'm gonna do whatever you say. I'm gonna do everything you say and anything you say. I'm by myself. I don't have to worry about anybody watching me or doing anything." And so I stayed with you the whole time, and my mind, like, would tell you that, come on, like, really, like, let's, like, there's got to be more. Like, I'm the kind of person who would have a hard time going to yoga because I felt like I need a better workout. I need to go to spin class and go, it's like slowing down or doing things a little bit slower was always challenging for me. I'm a little bit more of like a bull in a china shop or drinking from a fire hose kind of thing. So you slow things down, and I stayed there with you, and then we did some dancing. And actually, backstep a minute. I told you that I've done some exercises like this Frogger exercise where you open up your hips, and I would do it, and I could have moments later where I could have some emotion. I'd cry later or something, not necessarily at the moment. But I'm always about, let's just push through this Frogger and just get the biggest most painful stretch possible, because that should be the way to create the biggest results. So I'd sit and like Frogger until like my insides of my legs, Froggers where you're like in a straddle
Yeah,
position. I know what it is, but just in case,
yeah,
you're in a straddle position, but kind of kneeling, right? And
yeah.
leaning forward to open up like almost the inside of your thighs, but it's like your hips. And so it's more about, like, to me, it was always about pushing through that. So to me, this whole restore and release thing was just way more gentle, right? And then we did some dancing, and I danced with you, sister, right? That whole time. And I'm like, all right, I'm still dancing. I'm doing all the things. And um it was great. I was like, afterwards I felt very relaxed, and that wasn't really, and I was like, okay, Jill, like, that was cool, or that was nice. And then I go to bed and I cried all night. It's like, I didn't cry all night, but I had this moment where I started sobbing. All these emotions got released, and I went through this whole, just this whole other place I went to. Kind of, I took your coaching that I'd done, and I said, all right, let's go. What am I feeling? I kind of walked through your steps that you took with me, tried to find that place, or that maybe that inner child that needed some healing in there. And because you taught me those skills on how to do that. Now, did I get them all in one, like, call? No, I need, it would behoove me to have more calls. But I took that moment. I didn't judge it, but those emotions came up later, and I told you afterwards, I was so shocked that what seemed like something was so gentle and easy, and not like I was trying to rip my inner thighs out doing a Frogger to release my hips kind of thing, that I
Yeah.
was like, okay, is it enough? And it hit me so much in the middle of the night, where just these emotions started getting released, and made me again go back to what I said before, just appreciate so much the value in what, not only what you do, but also just my mindset about, thinking that I could think my way through it or muscle my way through it. And the gentle approach that you take, and the way that you said it to me, and you can put it in your terms, which I'm sure is like more on point, but the way that I processed it was that, and I use this actually in my coaching too, because it's so true, even about the way that we manage our minds, is there's more of an allowing when you're gentle than there is when you're pushing. There's more resistance to that. So the
Yeah.
gentleness with yourself, like even in the movements and the things that you do, is allows you to open up. And that was counterintuitive to me. I'm like, more like, let's go, let's go, let's go, more, harder, harder, harder. Right. And I had to slow myself down and follow your lead. And yeah, you led me to another place of just getting through, like, through another little barrier that was super useful.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being vulnerable and just sharing that and admitting that, because that's not easy to do. Like, that's brave. That's brave just to be able to admit that to other people,
Yeah.
even
Okay, I'm
besides.
so much more vulnerable now, like, that I open to being vulnerable than I, like, catch me 2 years ago. I probably never would tell anybody, but I'm not afraid of I think being able to feel your emotions is like the best gift that you could possibly give yourself. And being
Oh,
able to release your emotions is the next best gift, so that you can create space for other emotions in there, right? Like, not getting them trapped in your body. So I don't
oh,
shame myself. I don't shame anybody else for having them. I'm like, bring them on.
100%. And you're making me tear up right now, actually, because this is the beauty of the work that I do. This is my heart. This is my passion of, like, working with women who are so stuck in their heads and want to grind their way through life and
Yeah.
are just feeling like their only option is to grin and bear it.
Mm,
And we live, and I lived that way for 40 years
mm,
until I came to this knowing and this understanding of my own healing journey. And then I was like, once I knew this, I felt so compelled, like, I have to share this with the world. Like, I
mm.
need other women to hear this and feel this and experience it, because we don't know it until we have the embodied experience that it's
Yeah.
even available to us, that it's even an option to live that way.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
we feel like the masculine energy, it's not a bad energy. But we need the balance of the feminine energy. And the masculine energy is energy that it pushes and it does. Do. The
Mm,
feminine energy is all about being and coming back to ourselves in a really compassionate, gentle way, and having a harmony of those energies flowing within us allows us to live balanced,
mm.
allows us to find wholeness within ourselves. And it changes us in the relationship we have with ourselves, but it also changes the relationships we have with everybody else around us.
100%. Yes. Because I do know this part, right? But I can also sense it just in what I've gone through with you is that, that the better your relationship is with yourself, the better your relationships get with other people. That's for one thing, but also when you're able to feel your emotions and process your emotions and balance yourself out in that way, that you just show up so much better for the people in your life.
Yeah, your energy
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
The energy that's within you shifts, and then it expands outside of you. And what I hear from you when you just said what you said was that I hear you're taking your power back now.
Mhm.
You're not afraid of emotion, and that's a
Yeah,
powerful feeling to
yeah.
really embrace and grab hold of. This, like, knowing of, I can walk myself through every emotion I experience. That's freaking powerful.
Yes, that is. It's that awareness too, because the more I have found that the more I've gotten into my body and out of my head, sometimes, often, and you will argue, I'm sure for sure, like way more often than not, that I will notice how I feel before I notice what I'm thinking. So, in other words, I'm like, oh, I got that pit in my stomach, or oh, there's that feeling in my chest again,
Mhm.
or my jaw, like, why is my jaw so tight? Right. So, it's showing up in my body first. And that awareness is enough to give me pause and respecting enough to like process through that. Like, okay, let's get through this. Like, what's happening here? Versus before, like I said, I'd bulldoze over them, or I would ignore them, or I'd go and eat or something just to like make them go away. Right. And now I'm like, bring it on. Let me go where that emotion is. And then knowing that they are harmless. We make them a bigger deal because we shove them away, or we don't want to take a look at them when they get stuck.
Yeah. And it's simply because we don't have the skill. We don't know how to move
Hmm.
through it. And so I try to decrease shame for women by
Hmm.
saying, it's okay. You don't know what you don't know. It's
Hmm.
like riding a bike. If you haven't been taught how to ride a bike, you don't know how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
So how about I just teach you, and let's just ride a new bike together? Like,
Yeah. Yes.
it doesn't have to be scary. It
Hmm.
really is so simple and so much easier once we know that there's just a few steps here. Like, it's not as scary and overwhelming to go there.
No, no, not at all. To your point, and I encourage anybody to just go through and have a coaching session with you, just because once your brain understands or sees, or you understand or see the power in it and the impact of it, then you open up to really going there. Right? It's like it's the value is in going through a session and seeing and allowing yourself to have those releases, go to places that you're afraid to go to, look at emotions that you may be afraid to look through, and feel that release and that lightness that we all want to have, that little clarity and safety and certainty about that we can handle those things. And then you want to go more, and you want to do more, and you want to just keep releasing and letting go. And yeah, I would encourage anybody to go through and and have that experience with you, because you're really, like I said, you're masterful at walking people to exactly what they need and knowing what they need, and doing it with a gentleness and grace and compassion, and so that one can open up and be vulnerable and just and get the most out of it. So really
Yeah.
good.
Well, thank you so much, Kathy, for sharing all of this with other women and with me. Like, and just I'm so honored that I get to see
Yeah.
like it unfold in your life and that we're a part of a mastermind group together with our businesses, even though we're doing very different things,
Yes.
but that I've been able to see from the sidelines, just like, oh, you're making moves in your life now since we talked.
Yeah.
And just kind of seeing that lightness and that openness that's happening for you just by you even doing one release and restore class and one coaching session with
Yeah.
me. Like,
Yeah.
and seeing that how powerful it has been for you and how much you've been open to it. So I just want to honor you and
Yeah.
thank you for being open
Yeah.
to the process and to the journey. And I just hope that you're feeling the gift of that for yourself.
For sure. I'm so appreciative of you seeing it and inviting me into that space. So
Mm,
so thank you for that.
yeah. And yeah, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.